Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leather Supply. Let's do an easy project. For the folks that are new or want to get into leather, this is not only easy, but it's a good looking project and it's going to be something we can use every day. All right, so anything I use in this video, weaverleathersupply.com or check below. We've got links there, going to take you straight to the website. Also, if you want to know when our videos release, just click your notifications. You'll know exactly when these come out. So let's step over to our pattern table, see what we're talking about. When we think of a lanyard, we think of a simple utility project, just something to get the job done. Actually, unlimited creative possibilities here, and we're going to talk about a lot of those. But for right now, let's just get a feel for our pattern. So our first measurement, let's measure us. I'm going to start roughly in the center of my chest, just with a tape measure, and I'm going to measure around my neck and back to that center point. For me, that's about 34 inches, and that's a pretty good average. But it's up to you. Do you want to hang your badge a little lower, a little higher, or do you just need, say, a simple lanyard, maybe to hang on your belt? That's one of the benefits of making our own. Let's make it exactly how we want it, okay? So on our pattern, right here, I'm 34 inches, but we're going to have to add to that because down here, all we're doing is we're going to take a long strap, we're going to circle around our clip, come back up. The other end of the strap is just going to sandwich in between. That's all we're doing. So on our pattern, my 34, I'm going to have to add 1.5 inches to that, or 35 and a half, or about 90 centimeters. So on our pattern, we're going to go with a 1/2 inch wide strap, about 1.27 centimeters to match our clip. Now, side note, at Weaver, we've got all kinds of clips, and we're going to talk about that. But right here, I've simply blown our pattern up, just easier to see. Down here, from the end of our strap, we're going to come in 1/4 inch, about 6.3 millimeters. For our rivets, we're going to give those a 1/2 inch spread, 1.27 centimeters. Right here, for our bend bag, we're going to have to go around a clip, but we're also going to have another piece of leather in there. So let's give that a little extra room, 1.5 inches, or about 3.8 centimeters. The other end of the strap, exactly the same thing, 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch spread. Now, over to this. We can always work on the poster board, and I love this. Easy to mark on, easy to cut. But we're dealing with a smaller strap. So for me, I'm going to transfer my pattern simply over to some of our plastic sheeting. And really, I don't need a super long pattern. I could just use a small piece, cut my length, scoot to one end, mark, scoot to the other end, and mark. Makes it that easy. Okay, last point, then we're cutting leather. But on our clips, a lot of ID badges, a lot of them have a small round hole, but some can actually have an oblong hole. We've got all kinds of shapes and sizes and finishes. Pick the clip that works best for you. Okay, so let's jump over to our main table, start cutting some leather. If you're new to leathercraft or you want to jump in, one of our biggest problems is simply the variety of options. This isn't 5% of the leather I have in my shop, and I want to make a lanyard out of every one of these leathers. Now, we can narrow this down a little bit. Weight-wise, we're going to look for a 4 to 5 ounce, or maybe a 5 to 6 ounce. I like the 5/6 for one big reason. This is going to soften up as we use it. So let's go just a little bit heavier, so therefore we have soft and durable. Right here, I love our reptile. That's a 2 to 3 ounce. So we'd need to put something else behind that, but that'd make a good looking lanyard. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. We're going to go with classic black. So let's cut that. The two best tricks I can offer to cut leather. First off, a brand new or sharp blade every project. Secondly, let's take our non-slip tape, add that to our straight edge, but let's bring that right to the edge because now I don't even really have to press down and that leather is not going to move. We'll get a perfect cut every time. On chrome tans, we typically cannot use our wooden strap cutter. They're usually just a little too supple or a little too soft. Actually, in this situation, we're going with our Pioneer Chrome Oil Tan, 5 to 6 ounce. So it's got a little body to it. It's a little bit thicker. So with this, let's set this at exactly 1/2 inch. How easy is that? Perfect 1/2 inch. Let's check end to end. Just right. Okay, so we need to trim this down to 35 1/2 inches, 34 and our 1.5 inch bend back. 35 1/2, good. Let's step over to our punch table, mark and punch for our holes. Since we're going with black, it's going to be a little tough for the camera to pick up our marks here, but in our shop on our work surface, we'll be able to see these. So with my pattern, all I need to do, let's take one end of our pattern, butt to one end of our strap, make our marks, and then let's flip our pattern to the other end of the strap and make our 2 marks there. Easy enough. We're going to use a double cap rivet. I'm going to use my 2nd or 3rd smallest tube, simply because I want the post of that rivet a little bit snug in that hole. Well, first off, that's going to be a good bite, but also, while we're assembling this, it's so frustrating to have our rivets falling out and rolling around. So it really kills 2 birds with 1 stone. So let's go ahead and punch our holes. And our last hole. Now, we don't have to go with an end punch. It certainly makes the whole thing look a little bit more professional. We can leave this right where it is because it's going to bend back on itself. That's going to be hidden and this piece is on the back. But again, if we've got the tool, let's use it. So 1/2 inch round end on both ends. There we go. Again, nicely professional. Okay, we could certainly leave it right here. But you know what? Let's add some spots. Well, we saw that coming, didn't we? Let's jump over to our pattern table, add a little bit of decoration, then we'll knock this together. I add spots to most projects. They look good. They can really dress up a project, but at the same time, they're inexpensive, super easy to add, and design options unlimited. Okay, so on our strap, from our inside rivet hole around to our inside rivet hole, it's exactly 32 inches. We lucked out here. So let's drop in a spot every 2 inches. It's not too much, but it's not too little. This is going to look good. So let's mark this at 2 inch increments starting from our rivet hole. Our strap is marked. Okay, so setting spots. First and foremost, we've got the Little Wonder. This is a great tool. If we're going to set a lot of spots, perfect way to go. But for us crafters, we may not have one. So all we need is an art knife and a small pallet of cardboard. Now on our spots, I love the 1/4 inch. That looks good. But in this situation, let's back off on that size a little bit. Let's jump down to a 3/16 inch. Now, the 3/16 inch spots are technically a pewter finish, but I tend to call these antique nickel, basically the same color. Let's start right here. So I'm going to take one of our spots on our mark. Here we go. It's a little hard to see on the black, but let's press that in. Good. Now I know exactly where my tines need to be. So with our art knife and our palette, let's just put 2 small slits in here. We want more spot than slit. There we go. Okay. Let's take our spot, push that through. Very nice. Now, if it struggles to get through, we've still got our palette. So let's give that 2 small taps. There we go, perfectly flush. Okay, let's spin this over on our back. Let's push our tines inward. Good. And there we are. Okay, last step. Now, I'm not going to hit this hard enough to ding our spot, but let's set that. That's all we need. Now when we flip this over, I almost can't feel those tines. They've actually circled in on themselves. Great, easy way to go when setting spots. Okay, so I'm going to set the balance. Well, there we go. That looks good. Again, not too much, not too little. Actually, almost an elegant look. Let's jump over to our punch table, knock this together. We're going to go with the antique nickel. It's just one of my favorite finishes, but at the same time, polished brass, antique copper, any finish is going to look good on this strap. It's your project, your call. Best part, we can get the matching finish in all of our hardware. So right here, this is literally called a small lanyard snap. Now, that can be confusing. In leather, typically clips are called snaps. We're going to go with our 1/2 inch. So on our end, with our 4 holes, let's slide that on. and center that just about in the middle, okay? On our end, these last two holes, we're going to go with a small double cap. Now, I say small, technically it's 1/4 of an inch, but the antique nickel. So let's take a post, 2 posts, there we go, drop those in, and let's lay that on our marble, okay? On this end, let's come in, top grain up, lay that in, look at that. We took our time with our pattern, our holes absolutely line up. So now, let's come back in with this strap, good. With our double caps, one of the things I love about these, we can snap those down without actually setting the rivet. Makes it very easy to assemble. So let's use a small rivet setter. Well, there we go. That is a good looking lanyard. Let's jump over to our pattern table, talk about some creative possibilities. Well, I'm exceptionally happy with our lanyard. Whether we're going to dress to the nines or go casual, that's going to look good. So let's talk some creative aspects. Let's start here. So you're new to leathercraft. You're probably dealing with, say, a scrap bag or smaller pieces, maybe a panel. Well, let's take the problem that we can't find a long strap in that, turn it into a creative solution. We can always just cut small straps and rivet these together. We can drop in an overlay, maybe some antique copper. Looks good. With a spot in the middle, here's a great way to go. The mystery braid, it's always popular. So let's just make a bunch of small mystery braids. Actually, that would make a very good looking lanyard. Right here, all we have to do to bring 2 pieces together is simply cut a slit in each end and weave that. Drop in a round end punch. That actually looks pretty good. So again, we're taking a problem and we're finding a creative approach to solving it. This is a standard age-old tack design. All we need here is just a line of holes right down the middle of our strap. That's our deer lace. Works perfect for lacing. Here's a way I absolutely want to go. That's the lanyard I want, a 4-strand braid. Got some beautiful colors we could work with. The only problem here is there's a couple of ways to close this off, but I'm not happy with any of them. None of them float my boat. So when I figure that out, we're going to do a video on a lanyard with a 4-strand braid. And we haven't even gone into tooling or stamping or dyeing or braiding. So many ways to go. The big point here is just take some of these ideas and run with them. A simple, fun, and useful project. Welcome to Leathercraft. I bet you're going to get a compliment the first time you wear your lanyard. And here's another one. I bet you're going to get some orders from coworkers, family, and friends. I hope so. Good luck with your projects.